Good afternoon, all. On behalf of Untitled Arts and Science College, Ambattur, Chennai, IQAC, and Department of BCom, Accounting and Finance, in association with IOT Academy, we welcome the faculties of Untitled Arts and Science College, Chennai, and the participants joined here for the 7th session of National Level PDP on Basics of Research Methodology. Let me introduce the resource person of today's session, Dr. Prem Kumar Manoharan. Dr. Prem Kumar Manoharan is currently working as an associate professor, Department of EEE, Dayananda Sagar College of Engineering, Karnataka. His qualifications include BE Electrical and Electronics, ME Applied Electronics, and PhD degree from Anna University, Chennai. He has over 13 years of teaching experience, and he has published more than 100 technical articles in various national, international journals such as IEEE and Springer. He has been granted 4 patents by IPR India and IPR Australia. Dr. Prem Kumar is also serving as an editor and reviewer for leading journals such as IEEE, IET, and Taylor and Francis. He is also a member of various professional bodies such as IEEE and ISTE. We welcome you, sir, and with this, we hand over the session to Dr. Prem Kumar Manoharan. Sir, please.
Is my voice audible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, your voice is audible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So let me share the screen. Yes, I think the screen is visible to you. Yeah. Let me proceed.
It is visible, sir.
Yes. Yeah. So good afternoon to all. First of all, I would like to thank IOT Academy for giving this wonderful opportunity, and also to conduct this national level FDP on basics of research methodology. And I myself, Dr. Prem Kumar, Associate Professor from Dayananda Sagar College of Engineering, Bangalore. And today I'll be discussing about how to publish a good research paper. So this is what the title. So before going to the good research paper, so here, and nowadays the many people are publishing a paper. So the publishing paper is not a matter. So but publishing a quality research paper matters. So that's what I thought of discussing, like what should be the content of the paper, and what are the structures of the good quality research paper. So that I'll be discussing. Along with that, some tools required for the research writing research papers, as well as I'll be talking about some citations as well. So these are the topics I'll be discussing in today's discussion. So how to write quality research papers and the selection of journals. So though you have a quality research paper, suppose if you're not submitting the paper in the quality journal, again, it is a waste of resources, a waste of writing, and what is publishing it, and what is the use of it, and what is the credit for the researchers. So in future, the researchers will be assisted by checking the citations, other author metrics like H index, right? Height index, and total number of citations. All these things plays a major role. So I'll be talking about the citations and how to improve the citations. I'll just give you some guidelines how to improve the citations, as well as finally on what the research profile as a researcher you people have to maintain. So that I'll be discussing at the last slide. So first, I'll move on to the publication. So what is the importance of the publication? So this is what a question arises in all the young minds, and why it has to be. You are doing a research. So once you do research, if you are not disseminating your ideas, obviously it will not reach to the research community. So obviously the research, for example, someone have invented a mobile phone. If they have not disseminated that idea to the research community, once we have to implement it. So one of the ways of disseminating your research finding, research transparency. See, have quality research, obviously the people should trust us. So when you're publishing some research finding to the society, the people should trust you that you have some quality research and you have given some kind of quality findings or quality results to the people, so that the people start taking that findings and they'll start to improve that research. And obviously, for the financial matters, obviously we can say that it boosts the funding opportunity and also the promotion, maybe the internal promotion. For internal promotions also, the publications are required. But nowadays, we have so many ranking platforms out there. In order to have the better ranking, obviously the institutions are asking the faculty members to have some kind of good quality publications. So obviously that is also a mandate why we are going for publication. And it is finally it is a measure of success. So that's what. So these are the important things why we are going for publications. So now, what's a research paper? So here, the publication, the sense we'll be having different types of publications, like research paper publications, review paper publications, and conference publications, and letter publications, and newsletter, magazine. We have so many publications, so many ways of publishing your matters. But here I'll be talking only about the research paper. So what is a research paper? As we all know that it is a kind of academic writing that provides in-depth analysis and evaluation or interpretation of a single topic. It's not like, so in the research paper, we will not discuss anything in general. So we'll be focusing one particular area, and in that particular area, we'll be doing a lot of analysis, and we'll be having a lot of empirical analysis, and we'll be doing some kind of evaluation, and we'll be discussing what is the advantages, challenges, and what are the future scopes. Everything we'll be discussing based on the empirical evidences. So this is what we call it as a research paper. So the research paper focuses only a single topic, not in the general way. Okay. And the research papers are the bedrock of sciences and the most effective way to share information across a wide network. So as you know that it is a very basic matter, or it's a very basic things in the modern science, and it is a very efficient way to share the information. So what way of sharing the information is, if you go to some conference, if you are presenting your papers in front of the peers, obviously this is also one way of sharing information. But to reach the wide people, to reach a wide network, obviously the research papers matters. And researchers state their findings plainly and with corresponding evidences, so that the other researchers can consequently use the paper in their own research. So yes, suppose if you are going to the conference and you are presenting the ideas, and it will reach to the certain community people, and in future the people may not refer your research work. So if you have the research paper publications in repeated journal, obviously the people who are working in your own research area, they'll start referring your paper, they'll be taking your paper as a base paper, and they'll be extending the research. So this is what the research paper says. So instead of focusing on the newsletter and magazine publications, or the conference publications, you just go for research paper publications, so that will have more impact, so that it will reach the community people. So how long your research paper should the length of the paper should be? See, as I told you already, is what should be the content, what should be the length of the paper what you are going to write. So we have certain limitations for the number of words that should be in the paper. You see here, for example, suppose if you are writing any research paper, the number of words should not exceed 4,000 to 8,000 words. So it all depends upon the journals what you are going to select. See, some journals, they have the word limitation, but some journals, they don't have any word limitation, they don't have any length restrictions as well. But most of the quality research journals are having some kind of restrictions. The number of words should not exceed 8,000 words if it is the case of the research papers. If it is a review paper, it can go up to 12,000 words. That won't be any problem. You can go up to 12,000 words, but more than 12,000 words, it will be like a thesis, so the people will not prefer your paper for citing also. So it is my suggestion from my own experience. What I'm telling you is, don't write a paper more than 8,000 words if it is a research paper, not more than 12,000 words if it is a review paper. And we have some kind of short communication papers or letters that should not cross 2,000 words. So when you write a paper, or when you want to submit a paper to any particular journal, just go to author guidelines. There itself you check what is the length restriction. So based on the length restrictions, you select the journal and submit a paper. And how to write a research paper. So what are the things, what are the guidelines to write a good quality research paper? The first thing is, you just understand the assignment. So understand the assignment in the sense, so you should know whether you're going to write a short communication paper or the letter, or it is a research paper or it is a review paper. That you have to understand first. And after deciding which one you are going to write, after deciding it, you have to decide how many words it should be, okay, how many references should be, and what should be the content of the literature survey. So these are all the basic understanding is required before starting, writing any kind of research paper. And after that, choose your topic wisely. The thing is, you have to select the topic. It's a focused topic you have to select. You should not select any kind of a generic topic. If you select any generic topic, obviously, if you submit to one journal, immediately you'll be getting a disk rejection stating that your paper is out of scope of this particular journal. Just submit to this journal, submit to that journal. Like that, you'll be getting a comment. So when you select the research topic, you should be very particular that it should focus on a single topic or single area. So if you select the topic in the single area, obviously getting a proper research journal is very easy, and reaching the people is also very easy. Okay, the next one, gather the preliminary research. So it's a kind of, we can say it's a kind of a literature survey. So you have to select, you have to download some recent and relevant research papers for your the topic of research. Okay, you just download the papers and just read the paper and just note down all the important points, what methodology they have used it, what kind of experimentation they have done it, what are the challenges they faced it, and what are the future extension they have given in the paper. So these things you have to focus, and you have to grasp from each and every research paper what you are going to download, what you are going to refer it. Okay, from that you have to conduct a proper literature survey. Once you conduct the literature survey, then from that literature survey you have to find the research findings, or we can say it's a kind of a research statement you have to write, and you can find the research gap as well. right? So in a particular area, lakhs of people are doing research. Everyone is going towards one methodology. So they have implemented and they have proved that their methodology is better in some aspects. So like that, you have to read the papers and you have to see this methodology is better in this aspect. Like that, you have to list it, and from that consolidated list, you have to find what are the research gaps are available. So after finding the research gap, it's not necessary that you have to address all the research gaps. Okay, you take any one of the research gap and just try to fulfill it. So that is the easy way to write a quality research paper. Instead of taking all the research gaps, focus on one and do a quality research. And the write a research statement, as I told, after collecting or after conducting a proper literature survey, you write the research statement, or we can say research question. Okay, so once it is done, then next thing what you have to do is you have to determine the supporting evidences. Okay, you have to find the supporting evidences, in the sense you have the research gap. In that research gap, you have taken one particular problem. So how you are going to solve that particular problem? So what are the methodology you are going to use it? So then you have to conduct some kind of a simulation study. You have to conduct experimental study. Then once you conduct both the studies, then you have to find what are the research outcomes are. So with that proper evidences, you have to start write the paper. We have some kind of research paper outlines as well that I'll be discussing in the next slide. So based on the research paper outline, you can start writing your one paper. Then once it is done, you write the first draft. Okay, so it may be a draft paper, and once it is written, just give it to your research supervisor, or give it to your research peers. So they'll be reading the paper and they'll be giving some kind of corrections. And once it is done, you just do all the corrections and just make the final draft ready for the submission. Okay, and once everything is done, cite your sources correctly. This is very, very important point that you people have to do it properly. Okay, cite your sources correctly. So wherever you're referring paper, and wherever you're referring some equations, wherever you're referring some kind of methodology, so you have to cite the sources properly. If you don't cite properly, then obviously it will lead to the ethical issues. So you cite it, you just cite the papers properly. Proper papers need to be cited. So if you're citing some irrelevant papers, you see sometimes when you submit a paper to the journal will be selecting any one of the authors from the reference paper as your reviewer. Okay, so in that time, if you are citing some irrelevant papers, your paper will go to the authors who don't have any idea about your paper. So that time you may face some kind of rejections. So cite the papers properly. Related papers, you just cite it. Once everything is done, and just do the editing process, a final editing process, and do proofreading. So the proofreading also, there are two different proofreadings are there. One is a technical proofread, then another one is a language proofread. So the technical proofread, maybe your supervisor can do it, and the English or the language proofread, any one of the native English speaker, or any professor from the language department, they can do this proofreading. So once everything is ready, then you can go for the publication. So these are the 9 guideline points you people have to follow to write the quality research paper. Okay, once everything is done, I told you that the structure of the paper, what should be the structure of the paper. So this is it that most of the people are making mistakes. So when you write a paper, the structure should be proper. So usually in the research community, what they will call it as, I am rad. It's nothing but I is nothing but introduction. So it means when you start writing the paper, first you'll be writing the abstract. So once you write the abstract, and after that you'll be having the keywords. Then once you write the keywords, then you'll be going into the deep content. Like the first, it starts with introduction section. Okay, once the introduction section is over, the methodology. Then once the methodology is over, the results. And once the result is over, discussions. Okay, so what should be there in the introduction section, what should be there in the method section, and what should be there in the results and discussion section. Okay, so first I'll be telling you what should be there in the abstract. Okay, that I'll be telling you first. The abstract, as you all know, that it is a brief summary of your whole research, what you have conducted. Okay, so when you write the abstract, okay, it should not cross more than 200 words. Okay, and it should not be less than 100 words also. So that also you have to take care. Okay, so when you write the abstract, it should be between 100 to 200 words. Okay, so when you write the abstract, so some journals will be having a structured abstract. Okay, some journals will be having graphical abstract, but in most of the journals will be having a, in general, it should be like a paragraph. It should not be more than 200 words. So the first two lines or the first two sentences should discuss about the brief summary of your work. Then after that, what methodology you are going to use, the novelty of your work. Then after that, what you have to discuss is what are the research findings from the study. So those things need to be there in the abstract part. As I told you, it should not cross 200 words. So it is always better to have the 150 words, maximum of 150 words. That is the optimal one. But you can sometimes you can go up to 200 words, but don't go more than 200 words. This is what your abstract part. Once the abstract is ready, the keywords, these keywords are very important, because based on these keywords only the editors will be selected. Because when you submit the paper, it will go to the editor-in-chief. The editor-in-chief will see the keyword. Based on the keyword, he will be allocating the subject editor. Okay, so when you place irrelevant keyword, the paper will go to the irrelevant editor. Then finally you'll be getting rejection that the paper is out of scope. Okay, so you should be very careful while writing the keywords. Okay, you just try to follow the IEEE keywords, what is there in the list. Try to follow it. Based on that, you can prepare the keywords for your own research work. Okay, once this basic part is ready, then you have to go to the introduction section. So as I told you already, the introduction section is nothing but here in this section only you have to discuss about the problem what you are intended to address. Okay, in other words, we can say all the research questions should be there in the introduction section. Okay, so it means, for example, if you are conducting some research on solar photovoltaic system, you should discuss what is solar photovoltaic system and what are the problems in the solar photovoltaic system and how those problems are addressed in various literatures. That should be discussed. Then after discussion, you have to see that what are the research gaps are available. So after that, you have to formulate a research statement or research questions. So that should be there in the introduction section. Then at the end of the introduction section, what you have to list is, you have to list the major contributions of the paper, as well as the structure of the organization of or structure of the whole paper need to be there in the at the end of the introduction section. The next is the method section. So whatever the research statement you have mentioned in the introduction section, so to address this research statement, we have to propose some kind of methodology to address the problem, right? So that methodology should be there in the method section. So once everything is done, then what you have to do is, as I told you already, you have to do the simulation study as well as the experimental study. So what you have observed from the result, what you have observed from the simulation and the experimental study, so that need to be there in the result section. Okay, then after that, the discussion section. So this is what the people are not keeping it in their research paper. So always better to keep one section called discussion section. Okay, so in that, what you have to do is you have to discuss what you are thinking the results mean in the discussion. So it means you have some results, you have plenty of results. So from the plenty of results, what you are trying to say to the research community. Okay, in the discussion section itself, you have to discuss what are the challenges are there in your research. Not only that, you see, when you propose any methodology, we will not have always advantage. We'll be having some kind of drawbacks as well, right? So that drawbacks of the methodology, what you are going to propose, that also need to be discussed in the discussion section. Okay, and finally, we'll be having conclusion section. In conclusion section, what you have to do is, what are the methodology you have used it, and what are the results for the result findings, and what are the future scope. That should be there in the conclusion. Once everything is written, then finally you have to go for the references. Okay, the references should be used wisely. Key information should be referenced as well as the methods and instruments also used. So whatever you have used, whatever you have referred from the research papers, that need to be referenced properly. That need to be cited properly. Okay, so when you talk about the references, we'll be having in-text references and finally the end-of-text references. Both will be there that I'll be discussing later. So these are the structure of the paper. As I told you, start with abstract, then keywords, introduction, then methods and results, then discussions, then finally conclusion and the references. So as I told here, I just listed everything here, the title, and one more very important thing is the title. Okay, so don't write any lengthy title. Okay, the title, the better title will not have more than 10 words. Okay, so when you write a title, you just look into the title. Don't it should not exceed 10 words. Okay, that's point you keep it in mind. As I told you already, the abstract maybe you can have it from 150 to 200 words. And introduction, it is like a thorough literature. Okay, starts with a small introduction about your research, then literature study, then research gap, then research statement, then the major contributions, then the structure or organization of the paper. That should be there in the introduction section itself. The next one is the methods. Be specific. Don't discuss any known information in the methodology. Okay, known information, you please omit it. Whatever you are trying to convey, that should be there in the method section. Okay, and the results, it should be comprehensive analysis. Okay, don't keep it like by keeping some figure. This figure says this. This figure says this. Don't write like this. Okay, you have to do a comprehensive or critical analysis from the results. That should be discussed in the results section. Okay, then finally, I told you the discussion section. The discussion section, as I told, what are the findings, what you are trying to convey to the research community, that should be there in the discussion section. Along with that, limitation and the challenges, that should be there in the discussion section. Okay, then acknowledgement. So if you have funding agency, or if you want to acknowledge any of the researcher who helped to do the research, okay, that you can keep it in the acknowledgement section. Okay, then we have ethical statement, the conflict of interest. So many statements are there. Okay, so but mostly in all the papers, this acknowledgement section will be there. So there you have to acknowledge all the funding agencies. And the references, so minimum 25 research papers should be there for research paper publication, and minimum 100 research papers should be there for the review paper publication. Means you have to refer 100 papers, and you have to do a proper review. Okay, with 10 to 15 papers, if you write a review, it's not a kind of a review paper. Okay, it's a short paper. So when you do a review, do a proper review. At least you have to refer 100 papers. Okay, and tables and figures, avoid unnecessary tables and figures. Okay, so some data you kept in the table. Okay, same thing if you plot it, it is of no use. Or something you kept in the figure, the same thing if you want to keep it in the table, again it is unnecessary. Okay, wherever you felt unnecessary, you just remove all the tables and figures. Okay, so apart from this, all these are very important. So more than this, the another important thing is the cover letter. This is where the people are not focusing. Okay, the cover letter is very, very important. Okay, so when you write a cover letter, because when you submit the paper, the editor-in-chief will read the cover letter first. Okay, so if the cover letter is worst, obviously there itself you'll get disk rejection. Okay, so when you write the research paper, okay, you write a proper cover letter. So in the cover letter itself, what you have to do is you have to mention the title of the paper, and you have to give the brief summary of the paper. Brief summary. It should not cross more than 50 words. Okay, just discuss just within 150 words. You try to write the summary of your paper, and also there itself you have to mention that you have to acknowledge that this paper is not submitted elsewhere. Okay, and also if you have any ethical statement or any funding statement is there, that should be there in the cover letter. You write a proper cover letter and submit. Obviously, the first stage your paper will clear. Okay, if you don't write cover letter properly, definitely your paper will get a disk rejection. Okay, so just put some effort to write a proper cover letter. The cover letter should have the paper title, brief summary, ethical statement, and the conflict of interest. Everything should be there, and you have to list out all the co-authors of your paper. That should be there in the cover letter as well. Okay, So now quick checklist. Once everything is ready, yes, you have to check in two aspects. One is structural aspect, another one is language aspect. Okay, in the structural aspect, what you have to check, okay, before submitting the paper is your research statement clear and concise? Don't write the research statement statement for 2-3 pages. Okay, it should be a single paragraph. It should be clear and concise. Okay, and is your paper well organized, flow from beginning to end with logical transitions? It should not be any chaotic arrangements of your matters. Okay, so it should be a proper. It should be in the proper way. Introduction. In the introduction also, what should be there first, what should be there next. Okay, so it should, the flow should be from the beginning to end. It should be in the logical transition. If not, if it is chaotically arranged, then obviously you have to reorganize your paper. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to
Do
interrupt,
your
sir.
ideas follow a logic?
Your voice is breaking a little, sir.
Concrete is in fact.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Your voice is breaking a little.
Yeah, just a second. I'll just
Yes,
change
sir.
the
Thank you,
network.
sir.
Yeah, just a second. I'm just changing the internet. I'm just changing the internet. Suppose if it is disconnected, I'll join again. Okay.
No issue, sir. You can join again, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's okay now. Let me continue. I think something they posted. Yeah, okay. So I just continue my session.
Yes, sir.
I hope everything is okay now. I'm just continuing. Yes, so once your argument is support with proper evidences, the evidences may be through your simulation study or your experimental study, then it is ready to submit. And you have to see, have you avoided repetition? Okay, so you should not repeat the same statements again and again. So it will, it will spoil the reputation of your paper. You should not have any kind of repetitive words or repetitive sentences inside the paper. Okay, if anything is there, you just remove it. Instead, you just rephrase it and keep the proper sentences over there. Okay, are your sources properly cited? Yes. So whatever the papers you refer, as I told, it should be cited properly. Then before submission, everyone have to check for the plagiarism. Okay, we have some kind of plagiarism tools that I'll be discussing later. Okay, so with the plagiarism tools, obviously you have to check the plagiarism. If the plagiarism is within the range of the journal policy, you can submit a paper. So this is with respect to the structural edit. Then with respect to the language edit, you have to check, is your language clear and specific? Okay, so obviously if you feel any difficulty in language, it is better to approach any of the professor from the language department, or if you have any one of your friends there in the native English speaking countries, you just check with them to see the language quality. Because as an Indian author, we people are facing this problem. Most of the time our papers are getting rejection because only because of the language. Though we have a good technical content, because of the language issues, our papers are coming out. Okay, so you have to check the language is clear and specific, and you have to check the sentence flow is smooth and clear, and you have to check You have avoided filler words and phrases. This is very important. See, since it is a research paper, okay, it should be a technical word should be there. So sometimes, the people, whatever in the normal days, if you are doing conversation with your friends, how you will be speaking, right? So those kind of conversation should not be there in the research paper. Okay, so that we call it as a filler words. The filler words and phrases should not be there in the research papers. Okay, and have you checked for proper grammar, spelling, punctuations, and typo errors? So if everything is right, so this is what a checklist everyone has to follow. Okay, once everything is perfect, then you can go for the submissions. Okay, so most of the time, what the people are doing, where the people are doing mistakes, okay, that I'll be discussing. Okay, so the research questions are not specified, the research statement. So they'll be writing a lot of stories in the introduction section, but we cannot find any kind of research statement in the introduction section. Okay, so you should discuss the research question or research statement properly. Okay, that should be there. And the stated aim of the paper is superfluous or vague. Okay, both the extremes. Okay, so when you write the abstract, it should not be superfluous and it should not be vague also. Okay, so don't claim for example, I can get zero error from my measuring instrument. So obviously it is not at all possible. But when you claim my novelty is like I can get zero error, so obviously it is a superfluous statement. Okay, so don't do that kind of mistakes always. Okay, so when you climb, just climb the nominal the properties. Okay, and the next one, the structure of the paper is chaotic. As I told you, the structure of the paper should be like what I have discussed earlier. Okay, if it is chaotic, you just rearrange it properly. It should from top to bottom, it should be in a flow. Okay, if something is going out of the flow, so it just reorganize the paper and submit the paper. The next was, the manuscript does not follow the journal's instruction for authors. So obviously, as I told before submitting paper, go to the journal website, download the author guidelines, and based on the author guideline, you prepare the paper. The template should be there, okay, and some referencing formats will be there. So based on that, what guidelines they have given, based on that, you prepare the paper. And the paper should not exceed the number of words allowed, as I told you, right? So few journals having this restrictions, and many of the elsewhere journals are not having this kind of restrictions, but complete all IEEE transactions, all IEEE journals are having the page restrictions as well as the word restrictions. Okay, just follow it properly. Okay, and method, interventions, and instruments are not described in sufficient detail. So you'll be telling that I use this instrument. So what is the specification of the instrument? That should be there in the research paper. Okay, so that should be properly described in the paper. Okay, and the results are reported selectively. So you have done a lot of work. But all the work should be reported properly. As I told you, your claim should be supported with the proper evidences. Okay, if your evidence is less, then obviously they'll doubt about your research. Okay, so whatever the results you have, that should be discussed properly. Okay, and the same results appear in both the table and in text. I told you already, right? So suppose if you want to convey through table, convey only through table. If you want to convey through text, convey only through text. Don't repeat. Okay, in table, in text, if both are telling the same matters, obviously it will irritate the people. They'll reject the paper. Okay, don't do that. And the next one, the detailed tables are provided for the results that do not relate the main research question. You'll be discussing thousands of results, but all those results it should match with the research statements. If something is violating from the research statement, then whatever you're discussing the results, it is of no use. Okay, so whatever you have claimed in the research statement, based on that you have to keep the results. Okay, so that you have to take it properly. And the introduction and the discussion, the key arguments are not backed up by appropriate references. So whatever you're discussing, okay, whatever you're referring, that should be cited properly. And references are out of date. This is also one of the very important thing. Okay, when you select the reference paper, that should not be out of date. For example, you're conducting research at 2022. If you refer papers published in 2000 and 2005 and 1990s, obviously those papers are out of date papers. Don't refer those papers. At least from 2015 you can refer the papers. Okay, so 2015 to 2022, so that is sufficient. So always try to refer the recent papers when you do some kind of research. Okay, and also when you submit the paper to any particular journal, it is always, I'm suggesting you try to refer at least 1 or 2 papers from the same journal, or else people will be sending your papers out. Okay, so by stating that the paper is out of scope of this journal. Okay, this is my personal suggestion, so it is nowhere it will be there. It's my personal suggestion I'm telling you. Okay, and the discussion does not provide an answer to the research question, and the discussion overstates the implications of research and does not acknowledge the limitations of the study. So you discuss wisely, right? So don't discuss anything superfluous. Okay, whatever is there, that you discuss it and just conclude it. Okay, and the paper is written in poor English. Okay, so these are all the common mistakes that people will be doing it. Okay, just see these mistakes, the common mistakes. If anything is there, you correct it, then you can go for submissions. Okay, as I told you already, choosing a journal is another important thing. Okay, when you choose this journal, you just check what type of audience you want to focus. Okay, so when you select journal, okay, so these are the readers will be referring this journal. Obviously, if I publish my paper in this journal, obviously I'll be getting more readers. Okay, based on that, you have to select a journal. The next one, how prestigious is the journal in your field? Okay, for example, if I'm writing any paper in the control system, I'll be focusing on Asian control systems or IEEE transactions on control systems. Like that, we'll be having some prestigious journal in my particular field. Similarly, in your particular field, what are the prestigious journals are there? So based on that, the name and fame of the journal, you have to select. The next one, how long does it take published in this journal? So for example, I'm submitting paper now, today. If it is published after 3 years, will you accept? At that time, your paper will become very old, right? So some of the journals are there, they'll be taking minimum 1.5 years, 2 years to give the review results. Okay, so when you submit the paper, you just check the time duration of the journal, because nowadays in all the elsewhere journal and Springer journal, they'll be giving the time frame for each and every stage of the review process. Okay, so based on that, you select a proper journal and submit the paper. And how much does it cost? So nowadays, most of the journals are becoming open access. When once it is open access journals, obviously there'll be a paid charges will be there, article processing charges will be there, whether that amount is affordable by you or not. If it is affordable, you select the journal, or not. If it is not affordable, just try to go with subscription based journals. Don't go with open access. Okay. And indexing databases, we have so many indexing databases. Okay, out of which many of the people knows about Web of Science collections like SCIE, SSCI, ESCI, and CPCI. And Scoopus, everyone knows it, I think. Okay, and the Google Scholar, everyone, 100% of reviewers knows about the Google Scholar. So apart from that, we have so many indexing databases. But when you write the quality papers, when you want to have a quality research publication, your paper should be published in SCI journals or Web of Science journals. Okay, that is always at top level. Okay, and the next level is the Scopus, and the bottom level is the Google Scholar and other metrics is what we have. Okay, but if you want to have a quality publications, you should publish only in Web of Science based journals, either SCI or SSCI or ESCI, or the CPCI is nothing but a conference proceeding citation indexes. Before it is applicable for only for the conference papers. Okay. Then after that, you can focus on the Scopus. So nowadays, many people are focusing only on the Scopus. More than Scopus, a lot of things are there. Please come out of the boundary. Okay, you just try to focus on some good quality indexing databases. So as I said, SCI is one of the good quality indexing database. If we have some 2-3 papers in SCI index journals, then obviously your research profile will go in another level. Okay, so try to focus on the good indexing databases. And threads of predatory journals. Okay, when you submit any journal, you should aware of predatory journals. The predatory journals are nothing but there's a fake journal. Okay, so they'll be opening the site which is similar to the journal what is available already. Okay, so what they will do now, once you submit the paper, immediately within a day or within 2 days, they'll be giving you a decision by stating that you pay $600, $1,000, $1,000 so that we'll start publishing your paper. So what you'll be thinking like, okay, this journal is there in the Scoopers and this journal is there in the SCI. Okay, only $400 is not a matter. We'll pay like that. You'll pay and your paper will be published in the Predatory Journal. Once it is published in Predatory Journal, it cannot be indexed any of the indexing databases. Even it will not be included in Google Scholar also. Okay, it means that your complete work is waste. You have to throw it out. Okay, not only the work, your money is also wasted. So when you select a journal, you should aware of predatory. So many predatory journals are available. You please check and go to the proper journal site. If you have any doubts, just go to www.scoopers.com and there you just type the journal where you want to submit. So type just type the title and search it. It will show the home page of that particular journal. Click it. It will take you to the proper home page. Okay, so that is the proper the website for the particular journal. Okay, so the similar websites also available, but just be careful before submitting the paper. Okay, so as I told, your paper will be wasted. It cannot be indexed at all. Obviously your money is also wasted. They'll be charging huge amount of money, minimum $600 to $1,000 they'll be asking you. Okay, maybe because of the supervisor, the pressure or some research commitment pressure, you'll be paying the money. So once you pay the money, that's it. Even if you request them to remove the paper, they will not do it. Even for removing the paper also, they'll charge. Okay, please be aware of the predatory journals. Okay, and next, what are the writing tools that are available for writing good research papers? So as everyone knows, minimum quantity is a Microsoft Office is required. Okay, and if your paper is having a lot of mathematical expressions, I'm suggesting you to go with the LaTeX. Okay, so LaTeX will give good mathematical expressions compared to the Microsoft Office. And as you know, the Microsoft Office is a commercial version. Okay, and LaTeX is an open source version. Without paying money, you can download it and you can use it. Okay, but only thing is some few programming skills are required for LaTeX preparation. Okay, but once you start using it, then definitely it will be easy for you. Okay, so if you feel that Microsoft Office is a commercial version and we have other version called OpenOffice is also there and LibreOffice also there, so you can use any one of the two. Okay, to write your research paper. And apart from the writing tools, we'll be having a lot of drawing tools. Okay, this is very important. Okay, because when you write any paper, you obviously in the paper you will be having a lot of diagrams, a lot of figures will be there. Okay, when you plot any figures apart from the result figures, what you are going to take it from the simulation tools, what you are going to use, apart from that we'll be having some kind of a common figure, some general figures will be there, right? In order to draw that general figures, we need some kind of drawing tools. Okay, so here I just listed some drawing tools: Microsoft Visio, Draw.io, AD Raw Soft, and Inkscape, the GIMP, Dix, SmartDraw, Glyph, Kako. So these are all the different tools. So out of these tools, few tools are, desktop tools are available and few tools are online tools. So for example, Microsoft Visio, Draw.io, Dix, all are the desktop versions. Okay, so I have used Microsoft Visio, Draw.io, and Dix. So out of which I felt Microsoft Visio is a better tool for the general drawing. Okay, but the Microsoft Visio is a commercial version. If you feel the Microsoft Visio is a commercial version, I want some alternate tool for that, means obviously you can go with the Draw.io. So Draw.io is a perfect tool, both online and offline plots you can do it. Okay, it's a better tool, you can download it and you can use it. Apart from that, many tools are there, but I am suggesting to go with Microsoft Visio and Draw.io. Okay, and after the drawing tool, we'll be having some kind of referencing tools. Okay, we'll be having so many referencing tools like Zotero, Mendeley, EndNote, RefWorks, Cited, Pepperpile, and Dossier. So these are the reference tools are available in the market. Okay, and out of which few are commercial. Okay, few are free. Okay, actually, if you look at the EndNote is a commercial version. It is released by Clarivate Analytics. Okay, and the Mendeley is also there. Mendeley is released by Elsewhere, but it is a free of cost. Okay, so I strongly suggest you to use Mendeley. It is very easy to, you can start you can start cite your paper from the day one, because it's very simple to learn. Okay, so I'm suggesting you to go with the Mendeley. Suppose if your institution is having some kind of subscription, I'm suggesting you to go with EndNote. Okay, so EndNote or Mendeley is both are good, but EndNote is commercial, Mendeley is a free version, so you can go with Mendeley. Okay, apart from that, the dossier is also there, but dossier, it is not user friendly. It is not user friendly, but it is good tool, because you can have some kind of the important matters then and there, you can copy, you can paste it, and you can have it in the cloud also. It is a good tool, but it is not user friendly. But the Mendeley is a very user friendly tool. You can start using it from the day one. Okay, so these are all some reference management softwares. So you please use it. So don't type the research, reference papers manually. Okay, it will kill your time. It will kill your time. So just try to go with the Mendeley. And so once everything is done, now the paper is ready to submit. So when it is ready to submit, you have to see any conflict of interest is there, or any financial conflict is there, or what are the research authors contributions. Everything need to be disclosed in the paper itself. Okay, so when you submit the paper, obviously the journal will be asking what is the credit or author statement. For example, 4 authors are there in your paper. The first author did what, and second author did what, and third author did what. So like that, you have to give the author credit statement for each and every author. Okay, after that, you have to disclose the financial conflicts as well as the personal conflicts as well. Okay, and after that, the funding resources. If we have any funding resources, you have to disclose the funding resources. If nothing is there, you can simply say that no conflict of interest, so that the people will understand that there won't be any problem. Okay. So now you have to submit the paper. So when you submit the paper, so you should have everything ready. So it means you should reread the instructions of authors, and cover letter should be ready, and you have to check whether the paper is prepared in the proper template or not. Okay, and not only that, some journals will be asking some kind of line numbers, page numbers, everything. Just check the guidelines properly and make it ready, and must not under consideration by another journal. So it means, suppose if you're submitting the paper to the X journal, it should not be there in review, there under review in our Y journal. Okay, it means simultaneous submission is unethical. Don't do it, because nowadays they have some kind of robust system. They can easily identify you. If they identify the duplicate submissions, obviously they'll ban you to submit the paper in that particular journal for minimum 3 years. 3 years you cannot publish any paper with that particular journal. Okay, please be careful. Once you submit the paper to one journal, wait for the decision. Once the decision comes positively, submit the revision. If a decision is not positive, go to the next journal. Don't submit simultaneously. Okay, and some journals will be asking the potential reviewers, okay, when you submit the papers. So that time, don't give any known person as the potential reviewers. Okay, so because there'll be a lot of conflicts will be there, because if you are giving to the known members, or your research contributors, maybe 1 year back, 2 year back, you have joined collaboration with those people. If you give those members name, then obviously it will be a problem for you. Okay, so it is better to suggest the potential reviewers from the reference list. Okay, just take the reference list, and some papers you have referred, right, those authors you can refer, you can give it as a potential reviewer, so that you will go to the proper reviewer and you'll be getting the genuine comment from the reviewers. Okay, and as I told, the multiple submission, don't do it. Okay, one paper to one journal, wait for a decision and go to the next journal. Okay, and it should be scanned for the plagiarism. As you know, we have so many plagiarism tools are there. Okay, we have some free plagiarism tools, and the commercial plagiarism tools also there. But my suggestion, don't go with any free plagiarism tools, because they are stealing your data. They'll take the content of your the research work. Okay, so don't go with any free plagiarism tools. So it is always better to go with the commercial version, like Authenticate or Turnitin. Okay, scan it. So it is better to have less than 20% including references. Okay, that is a better the plagiarism percentage. So if it is more than 20%, try to change or try to rephrase it and try to bring it down to 20%. If it is 20%, yes, your IEEE, Springer, elsewhere, whatever, Taylor and Francis, Wiley, everything for all the journalists, this 20% is acceptable limit. Okay, you can go with the submissions. And ready to submit? Yes, now. What is there? So we have to select the proper journal, right? So to select the proper journal, there are a lot of online recommending systems are there. Okay, each publisher is having their own recommending system. Okay, so you can see that IEEE is having IEEE publication recommender, elsewhere is having elsewhere journal finder, Springer is having Springer journal suggester, and Taylor and Francis is having journal suggester Taylor and Francis, and Wiley is having Wiley journal finder, and the last two are the common journal finders. Okay, so my suggestion is you just try to go with the first 5. Okay, so suppose if you want to submit any paper to elsewhere, I'll just show you the quick demonstration. Okay, so I'll just go to the elsewhere it's journal suggester. Yeah. Okay, just go here elsewhere. You can see the find journals options are there. Okay, once you go inside, once you go into the web page, it will ask you to type the title. Okay, and it will ask you to paste the abstract of the paper. So what I'll do now, I'll just take one simple base paper, and one paper. I'll just take it and just show you. Yeah, I'll take this paper, and you can see that I'll just copy this title. Okay. I'll paste it here, and I'll copy the abstract. Yes, you just paste it here. Okay, once it is done, and it will ask you to select the field of research. Even if you don't select the field of research is also okay, but the mandatory thing is title and the abstract. You keep it. Then next you just click find journals. Okay, once you click this, you can see that it will show all the journals which is relevant to your research paper. Okay, you can see that. So first journal, what it is showing is advanced engineering informatics, and here itself you can check what is the Cite score, what is the impact factor, what is the acceptance rate of this particular journal, and what is the time duration for the first decision. So it means they are taking maximum 4 weeks to give the first decision. Okay, and this is the second journal, and here you can see that the acceptance rate also. Based on the acceptance rate also, you can submit the paper. Okay, so here if you submit the paper to this particular journal, you see that acceptance rate is only 3%. Okay, so out of 100 papers, only three papers they are accepting it. So it is very tough to clear those journals. But here, if you look at this journal, you see the acceptance rate is 23%. You can see the impact factor is about 8.6. Is very good quality journal. You see the time duration; it takes 13 weeks for the first decision. So based on this, you just select any journal. For example, if I want to submit to this journal, just click this, and you can see that submit paper option is there. Just click this, and it will go to the submission page. Or if you want to see the journal website, you can click this. Okay, it will take you to the journal website, and there you can see the complete author guidelines, everything. You can check it. Okay, you can see the recent papers and any special issues are there in that particular journal. Everything you can check it at the particular website. Okay, once it is decided, you see that this is what the submission page. Okay, the submission page, yes, you can go and you can submit the username and password, or if we don't have any username and password, you can go to register now. Just give your basic details and register. Okay, before that you should have the OSIT ID. Okay, if you have OSIT ID, you just fetch it, so that will take all your common data from the OSIT ID, and it will take you to the registration page. Once registration is done, and inside you can go and submit the paper. Okay, this is one of the simple demonstration. Okay, so how you can find a proper journal for your particular research. Okay, if you want to submit any paper to the Springer journal, just click this. You can go and you can check the Springer journals which is related to your research paper. Okay, it is very easy way, but you have to spend some at least 10-15 minutes. So if you spend at least 10 to 15 minutes, you can save a lot of time. Okay, just keep this point in your mind. Okay, and what should be the review process? Once everything is done, I selected the journal properly, I'll be submitting the paper. Once the paper is submitted, it will be initially it will be assessed by editor-in-chief. If it is falls within the scope, it will go to the next step. If it is not falls within the scope, then obviously it will be rejected. This rejection will be there. Once editor-in-chief is reviewed the paper initially, then it will go to the subject editor or handling editor, and the handling editor or subject editor will assign the reviewers. It will go to the reviewer, and the reviewer will be reviewing your paper. Then once the reviewer is done, then what they will do, they will give the reviews to the editor. Then editor will take a decision based on the reviewer's comment. Okay, so based on the reviewer comment, editor will take a decision. Either it may be rejected, or it may be sometimes it requires a further revision, or it may be sometimes maybe like a revision stage, like a minor revision or major revision, like that. So many levels will be there. So again, we'll go back to the editor. So once the decision is given as a minor revision or major revision, we'll go to the author. Author should respond all the comments raised by reviewer. Again, you have to submit. It will go to the editor. Again, it will go to the reviewer. They'll be assessing it. Again, if the response is proper, if the response is satisfactory, yes, the paper will be accepted. Once it is accepted, it will go to the production department. One from the production department will go for the publication. Okay, if the response is not proper, okay, if the reviewer comments are if it is a poor reviewer comments are came, then obviously they will immediately reject your paper. So this is what the complete peer review process. Okay, so sometimes in single review itself your paper will be cleared. Sometimes will take up to 3-4 reviews also. Okay, it depends upon the reviewer comments what they are going to give, and it depends upon how we are going to respond it. Okay, based on that, the number of review stages are there. Okay, now finally you'll be getting acceptance or rejection. So based on that, you can take a decision. If it is accepted, it will be published. If it is rejected, again go to the journal recommender, find a proper journal, submit it again, and wait for the decision. Okay, so I just quickly tell you what is citation and what are the ways to increase the citation. It's very important because in future the people will be assessed based on citation. So as you know, the citation is a reference to a published or unpublished source that you consulted and obtained information from while writing your research paper. So whatever the paper you're writing, whatever the paper you're referring, okay, that need to be referenced properly. That we call it as a citation. Okay, so in citations, as I told you, we'll be having in-text citation and we'll be having end-text citation. Okay, what is that in-text citation is? Say suppose I'm writing this statement, I'm just writing this statement. So in this statement is referred from this particular paper. For example, here you can see that this is what the reference paper I just cited in text. So this is called in-text citation. Then next is what I'll be doing now, I'll be citing more number of papers in text. Then at the end of the paper, okay, as you know, after conclusion section, we'll be having another section called reference section. So in that reference section, we'll be having a end-text citation. So this is what the end-text citation. So here you'll be having the complete details about the particular reference papers. Okay, so here we have multiple styles are there. So one of the most known title is the APA title and MLA title, and we'll be having the IEEE style also. Okay, so based on the journal requirement, you have to go, you have to do a proper style and you have to submit the paper. Okay, this is the way to cite and this is the way to include the references in your research paper. And I'll just go to how to increase the citation directly. Okay, so cite your past work when it is relevant to the new manuscript. So this you can do. It's nothing. It is nothing wrong. Okay, suppose if you have written any new manuscript, okay, if you have worked in that particular research area already, you can cite the old work. It's not, it is nothing wrong. Okay, but don't cite more papers. So maximum 2 papers you can cite. Okay, not more than 2. Okay, so if your work is relevant to the old work, definitely you can cite your old work. Okay, then carefully choose your keywords and use your keywords and phrases in your title and repeatedly in your abstract as well. So whenever you're writing the title, that should be like a specific title. Don't give any generic title. Or if you give generic title, then obviously when the researchers finding the papers relevant to the particular title, that time your paper will not be comes in the Google database. Okay, so that's why when you write the title, you should be very careful, not only the title, the keywords as well. Okay, the keyword and the title, that should be specific, so that when the people types in the Google search engine, definitely your paper will be listed, the people start using the paper, or the people start cite your paper. Okay, and use consistent form of your name on all your papers. So sometimes, for example, Mr. MX they'll use, or sometimes they'll use Dr. MX they'll use, and sometimes they'll abbreviate complete name. So don't do like this. Okay, so whenever you're publishing paper, you just maintain the consistent name. Okay, for example, if my name is Prem Kumar Manoharan, so you, in all my papers, I'll be typing only Prem Kumar Manoharan. Okay, so sometimes, no, if you do like M Prem Kumar or Prem Kumar M or Manoharan P, like that, if you give, no, then that time the people will not aware that you have written this paper. Okay, so just be careful, keep the consistent name for all your papers, and make sure that your information is correct. Metadata means that all author details, your journal detail, volume number, issue number, everything is perfect. If everything is perfect, obviously your paper will not be missed for citation. See, though your paper is cited in the paper, if the metadata is not proper, yes, ma'am. I'll just finish it in 2-3 minutes, ma'am, please. Hello. Ma'am, is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So if the metadata is not proper, then obviously you'll be missing the citation, though it is referenced in the reference papers. So keep the metadata properly and share your data. Okay, share your code in the public repositories. So we'll be having so many public repositories like Mendeley, Figshare, GitHub, then Harvard Dataverse, so Codosin, okay, then IEEE Dataport. So likewise, we'll be having so many public repositories are there. You just share your data files, softwares, your codes, models, algorithms, whatever you have used it. If you share it, not complete algorithms, okay, just the few of the models, if you share it in online, then people start using your model, so that the people start cite your papers. So this is one of the way to increase the citation. And present your work at conferences. Okay, obviously, when you go to the conferences, definitely you'll be having some kind of the networking. So through the networking, yes, obviously your paper will reach to the people, and the people start citing your papers. And use social media properly. The social medias like Facebook, Twitter, academia.edu, ResearchGate, Mendeley. So once your paper is published, okay, just share your publication details through all your social media, so that your research will reach the people, so that the people start cite your papers. And actively promote your paper once it is published. For example, today you're publishing it, you just share the publication with your colleagues and your friends. Then obviously the people will understand that you're working in that, you're in this area. Then the people start cite your papers. So promote your work properly, so that definitely you can increase the citations. And these are the other ways of increasing the citations. I'll just share the slide, just try to refer it, so that you'll get the proper the way to increase the citations. Okay, then once everything is done, as I told you, as a researcher, okay, as a researcher, the author, you should have the profiles in some the social medias, or we can say some kind of the authorized media is also there. For example, the ORCID ID. Okay, so this ORCID ID is a unique ID, so each and every author should have. Okay, so this is a unique ID. So this unique ID will be useful for the submission stage, not only for the submission stage, for citation. Okay, and to check the peer review process, everything. The ORCID IDs are required. So just create one ORCID ID for your profile, so that you keep it ready. When you submit, the people will be asking the ORCID ID in future. Definitely that is mandatory one. The next one is a researcher ID. So this is actually a Web of Science ID. Okay, so till the 17th of August, this was maintained by Bubloons. Now the Bubloons is closed. Again, this Web of Science profiles are created by Clarivate Analytics. So you just create profile with Clarivate Analytics, and you can upload all your research publications, everything, and you can upload all your review status, everything, editorial details, everything. You can upload it, so that you'll be having a complete profile, so the people can refer your profile at any time, at anywhere. Okay, and Scopus author ID. Suppose if we publish one paper in the Scopus indexing, obviously the Scopus ID will be created for your name. Okay, you just search that ID, and that ID just match with all your publications. Suppose if any of your publication out of this ID, we just chat with the people, just communicate with the Scopus team, so that they will be adding your papers in your profile. So that is mandatory thing, you have to do it. And this Google Scholar ID, yes, in order to start, in order to have the Google Scholar profile, initially you should have the institution ID. So in the older days, they have not asked any institution ID, but nowadays they're asking institution ID to create a Google Scholar profile. So once you have a Google Scholar profile, yes, we can check the citations, H index, item index, everything of the particular researcher. And the next one is the ResearchGate, Academia, and Microsoft Academia. So all these are the social medias. Okay, so with through this media you can communicate with the researchers around the world. Okay, so you just create profile at least with ResearchGate, so that you can start sharing your information, and you'll get a lot of information from the authors around the world. Okay, and it is always better to have a personal website, so that you can update all your publication details, research details, and the academic details, everything in the website, so that the people start referring your website, and people start cite your papers as well. Okay, this is also another way of increasing the citations. Okay, so finally the acknowledgement. I acknowledge that the contents of the other peers whose contents are being used to comprehend the subject better, and I do solely for the academic purpose. I do not claim any ownership of any of the contents of the other peers. So with this note, with this acknowledgement, I would like to thank you all people for listening this session. If you have any doubts, you can contact me at any time. So these are my details. Okay, you can check my website, so that you'll get some kind of the reference. So based on this, it's a kind of free website I just created with the Cite. You can also create your own website. Yes, so if you have any doubts, you can ask now.
The session is open for discussion now. You can unmute and interact with the resource person, or you can post your questions in the chat box. Sir is there to help you. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
This is Dr. Shamshad Begum. Thanks to
Yes,
the
ma'am.
organizers for giving an opportunity to the resource person who really enlightened us about publications and writings. And he has given us right from the beginning till the end of publication how we should do the citation index, everything he has explained. So crystal clear it was. It's one of the best presentation ever heard about publications, how to do. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes. If you have any doubts, you can ask now. I'll just check the chat box also. I think no questions.
Any questions, you can post in the chat box, or you can unmute and interact with the resource person. He's there to help
Actually,
you.
whatever I discussed today is everything just comes from my own experience. I have not learned from anyone. So far I published more than 50 SCA papers. So based on that experience only, I'm just sharing all the information with you people. So if you have any doubts, or if you have any the opposite point,
Any questions?
sorry, it was disconnected. I think it's okay now.
Yeah, it's okay now, sir.
Yeah. Yes, so I think one of the person asked, is it possible I'm a research scholar, can I make OCID ID? See, OCID ID is a free ID any authors can create ID within a fraction of a minute. It will not take more than 2-3 minutes to create OCID ID. Okay, so this OCID ID is very important because when you go for the submission to the journals like Springer or elsewhere, there it is mandatory. You have to fetch the OCID ID, then only it will take the submissions. So that's what it is free. You can create. It's not a problem. Whether for everyone, it is mandatory. And the Google Scholar ID, as I told, if you have any one paper in the Scopus indexing databases, obviously by default that ID will be created for that particular author. Okay, you just check your paper detail in the scopus.com. You can check the author ID as well. Okay, so if you do the second publication, suppose if it is linked automatically to that particular ID, there is no problem. If it is not linked, you can communicate with the Scopus team. They will include the paper what is missed from your profile, that they will include in your the Scopus ID. So that you can have the organized profile, organized Scopus profile. So that is actually the authenticated profile. So suppose if you are going for any kind of interviews, or if you are giving some kind of presentation to the funding agency and all, what they will do, they will take the publication details of that particular author from the Scopus database directly. If it is spreaded over, if your papers are spreaded over different IDs, that time you will be missing, though you have published more papers in Scopus, that time you will be missing your credential. So that's why suppose if any of the paper is missed, you just try to interact with the team so that they will include all your papers with the profile.
Any other questions?
If
Think
there is no
more.
questions, we can mind that.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
On behalf of Untitled Arts and Science College, Ambattur, Chennai, IQAC and Department of BCom, Accounting and Finance, in association with IOT Academy, we thank Dr. Prem Kumar for the enlightening and interesting session. We thank you once again for the amazing and excellent presentation, sir. We thank you for enhancing our understanding with the commendable presentation. We thank you very much for your efforts, sir. We thank the faculties of Untitled Arts and Science College and the participants for joining the session today. Thank you all. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your efforts. It was an amazing session we had today.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Yes, so thanks to the participants also for patient listening. Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome, sir. Thank you, sir. Kindly fill the feedback form using the link that has been posted in the chat box. Thank you all. Your certificates will be delivered within 2 days through mail. Kindly fill the feedback form using the link that has been posted in the chat box. The certificates will be delivered within 2 days through mail. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Thank you all.